And I know a lot of this stuff is going to be very controversial, but this is the truth, and this is why I have to say it. And if I knew these when I was in my 20s, it would have changed my mindset completely. And the last lesson I learned is the most important. So your 20s are essentially a time when you have a lot of drive, you have a lot of energy. You could drink the night before and then be perfectly fine the next work day, the 8-hour, 10-hour work day week, and nothing affects you. You have more freedom to travel with your friends, your family, and you don't have to worry about rent or bills or a lot of bills. And this is a time where you'll have to try new things, and then you'll get those life experiences because of it. Through all those life experiences, you're still gonna be confused on what your purpose is and what value you serve to this world. This might hurt a lot of people. This is gonna cause a lot of controversy, but this is the truth, and this is why I have to say it. First thing, envy. Envy can come from anywhere. It can come from friends, from family, it can come from strangers, whether they're doing it consciously or unconsciously. A popular saying is people wanna see you do good, but not better than them. And that holds completely true. If you ever been really excited about like a recent promotion at a job, new car that you just leased, new shoes or new clothing that you just bought, and then you ended up showing it to your friends, your families, even strangers, and then you got a different tone of reaction, body language that you didn't originally expect because you were so excited. This was probably their way of saying, I'm happy for you, but I wish I had what you had. Lesson number 2, live in the present moment. Understand that what you do now is gonna affect your future. A lot of people are too focused on the hardships they had in their life. Like even for me, I grew up moving from place to place, evicted, kicked out, families, friends passings, animals passing away, multiple surgeries, changed careers over 3-4 times because I was still confused on what my value and what my purpose was. They're gonna start to bring up bad memories, and it's just gonna start to drift off into a hole of hopelessness, regret, what they could have done better in that situation. But understand, what you do now is gonna affect your future, not your past, only your present. If you're not happy where you are right now, you're chasing a made-up dream. Lesson number 3, new relationships. Don't ever start a new relationship after a harsh breakup. You're not here to find happiness in other people. You're only here to find happiness first in yourselves by enjoying your own company. And once you learn how to do that, you'll get everything you actually ever wanted once you kind of detach from those things. And that just takes time. So being happy with yourself is the most important part. Number 4, losing people. You know, it's inevitable as we get older, we're gonna lose friends, probably some family members. And I'm not just talking about passings, I'm talking about real connections. And a good way to analyze this intuitively, it's usually a reciprocation of energies. You're very excited about seeing them all the time. You're texting them, you're calling them. You feel like you're always putting in more effort, more excitement. Don't hold on to that. You're just wasting your time, you're wasting your energy that could have been spent on better things in your life. And all those individuals are probably gonna be replaced. And it's not because you're better than them, it's not because they're better than you. Redirections of your morals, your ethics, your priorities in life. Some people stick with you on your path and some people just don't, and that's how the way it goes. Number 5, diet. Eat a majority of your foods from nutrient-dense whole foods. So 80 to 90% is a good rule of thumb, especially if you're not used to it already. If you do this in your 20s, you're gonna be faster, you're gonna be stronger, you're gonna be more intelligent, and it's gonna reflect in your every single day life. When I used to eat a lot of processed food every single day, and I'm talking about morning, lunch, dinner, I felt like crap. I thought like crap. I couldn't solve my everyday issues as quick as I can now. I couldn't think of ideas as quick as I can now. I wasn't as strong physically or mentally. And in your 20s, it's way easier to slug down a Wendy's or Popeye's combo meal at 2 a.m. just right after a night of drinking, and then hit the bed and you'll be completely fine the next day. If you do that consistently, not only is it gonna take a toll on your body physically, it's gonna take a toll on your body mentally as well. And it's gonna reflect down other relationships either you have with your family or friends, not for the better. Remember, everything in moderation, balance, and variety. Number 6, jealousy. Not the same thing as envy. When I speak about jealousy, I'm just talking about you, yourself, and your thoughts. Losing a position or a situation to somebody else, sometimes you'll feel protective or threatened if you compare yourself to others and their relationships, careers, their looks. Once you do that, you're just setting yourself up for failure. If you just focus on all the things you lack, you'll lose what you have. I believe social media also plays like a pretty big part of it. It puts a lot of pressure on the younger generation and sometimes even on me to be successful, but it's the journey you really have to enjoy before the success even comes to you. Number 7, it's not as hard as you think. Nothing in this life is hard to learn. I've been a police officer, turned out a dietitian, bartended at night, college graduate, personal trainer. If you were to follow me for 30, 40 hours a week for the next 3 months, I bet you would start to pick up on how I do everything. My morning tasks, my evening tasks, how I clean up my office space, how I handle clients. And it's the same analogy with everything else you do. If you follow the person in stocks, the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, your local mailman, you're gonna get a drift of how they do it and kind of have a good idea of how you should do it yourself. And even with any degree or any credentials you essentially have, you're still gonna have to be trained at the job. And with technology nowadays, like YouTube, TikTok, you can learn anything at the palms of your hands. Number 8, read, but only read books that resonate with you. I've read so many books in my life. Growing up, you always had this notion, the more you had to read, the better you'll be. Not true. Nowadays, there's more and more newer authors, and it seems like some of them are really good. It seems like others are really there just for the money, the fame, and they have less of an intention of teaching the newer generation or my generation important lessons on that specific topic. It's always better to read one good book several times than to read 10 books one time. Definitely find the book that you love and stick to it. Number 9, find your passion. I read this in this really powerful book. It was called Ikigai, meaning a reason for living. It's about a Japanese civilization, right? And they were born on an island of Okinawa. The importance of this place was they had the most sanitarians in the world on this specific island. And when asked what kept them going, is their Ikigai, which was the reason why they got up in the morning. Having a clearly defined Ikigai is gonna bring you satisfaction, happiness, and meaning to other lives. Find what you truly love doing, whether it's painting, photography, lacrosse, coaching, journalism, gardening. You must have a great deal of knowledge in that specific field, must have some type of value to the world, and you have to turn it into a service because we can't work for free. We all have bills, get paid for it because that's what you love doing and that's value you give to everybody else. 20 plus years of confusion to figure this out. Do not let anyone or anything tell you what's right for you. Only you are gonna know what's best for you. Number 10, faking it. You're gonna come across people that tell you they have everything figured out in their life, their money is perfect, they have a great relationship, nothing seems to go wrong with them. No one, and I promise you, no one in any field, in any career, in any house, in any relationship has it all figured out. And so many of us just really just keep it to ourselves. It might seem like we have it figured out, really just don't, and it's just a lie. Number 11, do not give in to peer pressure. Remember growing up as a kid, you were told this specific tradition where you have to get married by the age of 25, have kids, have a house, 401k, a pension, have everything figured out. That is not true at all. You go at a pace that's comfortable for you and only you. Your happiness, the most important part, and don't look for it in other things like money, sex, clothing. You must first learn how to be happy just being in your own company. Number 12, don't argue. When I say this, I mean don't argue with coworkers or your boss. I've seen this in so many different fields. I've even done it myself, and it always backfires on you. If you ever have an issue with anybody in any field, just kindly speak to them, and if you don't seem to get your point across, just speak to somebody in a higher position. You avoid all conflict doing that. You get straight to the source. It's either a bigger boss, HR, or sometimes I've seen if you post your issues on TikTok, depending on the situation, that can help you as well. 13, doing stuff alone. Your favorite TV show, having a coffee in the morning, traveling by yourself, doing all these things just by yourself, it's so much more enjoyable. The worst part about being alone though, the negative thoughts and feelings that can be overwhelming, that inner voice and critic becomes louder and louder, and I think that's the biggest issue that stops a lot of people from just kind of being in their own field and their own energy. But truthfully, more than 80% of your negative thoughts probably never come true. And some of the benefits that come to being alone increase your creativity, your mental strength to overcome life on your own. It's gonna make you stronger in general. 14, spend more time with people you care about. Send that text, send that call. That's only if you have developed a strong relationship with that particular person. Time moves fast and it doesn't wait for anybody. And before you know it, you're 30 years old and you're making videos like this and life just seems to pass you by. 15, karma. If someone's ever wronged you, and by this I mean hurt you physically, mentally, don't ever take revenge on anybody for a bad relationship, a breakup, doing physical harm to you, mental harm to you. Remember, the consequences will always follow those actions. Good people in this world can still make bad decisions. It's only when you perform that same action again, it's gonna get even worse for you. But also note, karma doesn't happen when you want it to happen. It happens when it's gonna hurt the other individual the most. So don't ever take revenge and just let life run its course. 16, talk less and listen more. And win friends and influence people. Most people in this world generally love talking about themselves. And you could tell that because once you have a conversation with somebody, most of the time it always ends up going back to them and their self-reflections and their experiences in their life. If you wanna learn more about them, say few things here and there just to keep the engagement going. And once they understand that you're a good listener, you're gonna get on their good side. And eventually eventually you're gonna get your chance to speak. It's just not gonna be then and now. 17, relationships. Once you find that right person you would like to be with for the rest of your life, don't get married with them until at least you lived with them for a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I'm talking maybe 3-4 years. This is also dependent on you. You don't know the other person until you go through real life shit with them every single day. Give more value. Anytime you give more value just for the sake of sharing knowledge, people tend to gravitate towards you. They're gonna trust you more, build a better relationship and community. Now, I'm not saying to keep sharing information for free, but if you do it 90% of the time, that small 10% should be your next step and to figure out how to make money from it. And that could be whether you wanna sell a course online, like my online fat loss course, guys, that's gonna show you how to count calories and lose fat. YouTube ads, making money off of TikTok, off of videos longer than a minute, or through TikTok shop, from brand deals, from email marketing, just something, because we all can't work for free. And if you're providing free knowledge all the time, it's not gonna help you. 19, job security. In any position can always be replaced. Your boss, your manager, your CEO would rather pick someone that works hard, is a great communicator, intelligent, and willing to work for the least amount of money while still being complacent. So don't think your specific job is hard to be replaced by, because it's not. If your industry changes, or there's trouble in the economy, or your employer might be forced to cut costs, maybe you just survive this round of cuts, or maybe you don't, but you'll never be too sure in the end. You should either be in a field that you completely love, because once you're in that field, it doesn't seem like work, or your best bet is really just to work for yourself. It takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of creativity, drive, a lot of coffee, long hours of staying up on the weekends just to make sure everything's right on track. If you're your own company, you're your own brand, so people are gonna follow you and only you. 20, alcohol and drugs. They're not gonna benefit you in any way. In your 20s, cool to party, it's cool to have fun. I did the same thing. It can really be used as a gateway how just bad their life is turning out. Overall, being healthier and looking better. Alcohol could reduce muscle gains, disrupt your immune system, circadian sleep rhythm. Somebody messed up my sleep, I'd be miserable the next day. You know, and I used to bartend for years, and I had a blast going out with friends, family dates, but a lot of those individuals I don't even speak to anymore. The dates I went on were just really a quick fix. It's really just gonna distract you from the things you truly want. And I've had a lot of close friends and relatives pass away from alcohol and drugs, so don't think there's any benefit to either or. Nobody cares. As harsh as this might be, everyone has their own life. Everyone has their own problems, family, their own health, their own kids, the dinner they have to put on their table. And you're always either gonna come second or you're gonna come last. Relative to maybe like a close parent, if you have a mom, dad, they're probably gonna always look at you as first. Ultimately, it's really you having your own back and doing things yourself. The bad news is you're basically on your own, but the great news is you're on your own. 22, don't talk politics or religion. This can generate a lot of heat, especially when you guys don't see eye to eye with others. 2 controversial topics to ever talk about anywhere. As mentioned before, I used to bartend. Talking about this would start arguments, meaningless fights between close friends, strangers, families, because not everybody's gonna agree with you on your specific stance. Just respect to everybody and do it in the comfort of your own privacy or with people that you actually really know that are on the same page as you. Relationships with other people are gonna be way more important than scoring stupid wins in arguments. 23, invest. I'm not solely speaking of investments like the S&P 500 or Bitcoin that we all wish we can go back in our 20s and start investing in. If you start to do these things and you're doing it solely for the money, it's not gonna last. You put all your focus on what you love doing, what you're knowledgeable in, and what you can actually bring value to the world. And from there on, you turn into some type of service. That's when you're gonna make the most amount of money possible. And I promise you, because I've lived this and I've seen this. This took me 30 years to figure out, and I've made more money than I've ever made in my entire life. 24, meditate more. People who generally meditate more tend to live happier lives, help manage anxiety, stress. If you have trouble sleeping, this can also help potentially be a way to manage that. Train your brain to be aware of the present in a non-judgmental manner. What I like to do is I usually just either sit in a chair, make sure your whole entire body is relaxed, bring attention to your breath. If you just do this for a few minutes each day, it's gonna do more good than harm. 25, Saturn's return. This is more of an intuitive thing. This might resonate with you or just might not. Your Saturn return happens between the ages of 28 to 31, 32. This is a time where it might seem crazier than usual, and that's because it is. You're going through some type of really traumatic event, whether it's a new relationship, a breakup, change of careers, moving arrangements, something very traumatic would happen during this time. A huge one is a question in the meaning of your life. And this is just a time and period where you're gonna self-reflect on your life. And whatever decision you make during this time is gonna have a major impact on the next 20, 30 years of your entire life. So make sure you choose the right one. 26, time. Don't ever waste in anything you ever find meaningless, and just focus on yourself, empowering others through what you're passionate about while respecting yourself and everybody else around you. And I promise you, you're gonna live a way happier and fulfilling lifestyle. If I can go back and redo my 20s, then come back to this point in my life, I'm still gonna probably have a different set of regrets, lessons that I wish I did differently. And that's because none of us are perfect. But you also shouldn't live your life in the fear of making a mistake or doing something you regret later. It's okay to do things not perfectly, or to do the wrong thing only to suffer the potential consequences down the road, because we've all faced that. It's honestly just a natural part of learning lessons and trying to do your best in a world that we can't control. What matters most is that you actually do it, you take the action, and not be scared to take that specific action. But I promise you, if you don't follow up on your dreams every single day and don't hold yourself accountable, you're gonna regret you didn't take that chance.